Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Ange. What we're talking about today, Ange, is South Carolina. And a lot of people from South Carolina are not happy.
Oh, they are not. They're definitely not happy.
Okay, and I was going into Facebook, looking at some Facebook comments, and let me explain to you why they're not happy. They're not happy because recent data from U-Haul showed that the growth index revealed the shift in migration patterns.
Yep.
So basically, more people are moving to South Carolina than Texas and Florida, and they got dethroned.
Yes.
All right? And people from South Carolina doesn't want the influx of people. And before we went on camera, Ange was actually talking about something, why Florida's in a different situation than South Carolina when everybody was moving to Florida. I'm going to have him explain that. But at the end, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. At the end of the video, what I think the pattern is going to happen in South Carolina, and I'm going to explain why a lot of people are moving to South Carolina. But consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. It's much motivational for us, and a lot of work goes into these videos. So, Ange, what were we talking about before we went on camera?
Okay.
What makes Florida different than South Carolina?
Florida, for the longest time, and I mean like 50 years, maybe even more, has always been a destination state. Meaning like you came here to go to Miami, you came to go to Universal or Walt Disney, you come to visit grandma. So it's always been a destination state where people would come down, visit, leave. And so that mentality was always here. It's very hard, even to this day, to find like a native Floridian. And I don't mean somebody, a little kid that was just born 5 years ago kind of thing. I mean, find an old timer. And now if you look at Georgia, or even as we're talking about, South Carolina, those have been places where people are born and die.
Yeah.
They never leave the state. They pretty much don't even live the area they were born in. They stay where they grew up for their entire lives. They may work a few towns away, but they always come back to where they originated from. Florida, you don't have that. Everyone here in Florida is transient.
Oh yeah, they were snowbirds.
Yeah.
Like over here, like South Carolina emerges as top destination for the first time. Okay, South Carolina leads the nation in attracting new residents with over 51.7% of U-Haul's one-way moves heading into the state.
And they're not happy, those people.
They're not.
It's driving prices up, and not just like the price of a property. It's driving the price of everything up. And these people, and they also had a way of life. And their way of life, whether you want to call it simple or laid back, whatever it is.
Everything changes. Their politics change, their taxes change, their infrastructure has to change.
Even their neighbors now changing, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, like in Florida, when I go do an inspection, I'm like, hey, I don't automatically assume they're born and raised in Florida. Like when somebody says, oh, I've been born and raised here, I was like, oh, really?
Yeah, it's a shock. It really is. Yep.
Most people are like, where are you from? New York. Where are you from? Jersey. Where are you from? California. Illinois. So Texas and Florida experienced decline, historically leading the index. Texas and Florida have dropped to second and fourth place, respectively. So basically, they're losing ground, and we got to talk about why. And since we did a video previously on California continues an outbound trend. California ranks the fifth consecutive year, reflecting the sustained pattern of residents moving out for 5 years in a row.
People have been leaving.
California. And you're from California.
Yeah, I left. Put it this way, you're going to get, even now after the fires, you're even going to get more people to leave. And those people might not be leaving because like they don't like the state. It's because you can't afford a place to live. You can't even find a place to live now.
Yeah.
How many houses burnt down? Forget it. It's insane.
Well, this is not even a small sample. I'm like, okay, what are they sampling, 200 moves? U-Haul growth index is based on over 2.5 million one-way U-Haul trips, providing insight into migration trends across the U.S. 2.5 million. So it wasn't like a small sample of 5,000 people.
I actually saw that on the news. They were talking about it, and the guy put the chart up. And that information just doesn't come from, like, say, 5 or 6 states. It's out of the whole entire country. They go to all the U-Haul areas, all the stations across the country, and they ask them, where are the drop-offs happening? And then they go to, say, the Carolinas, and they ask them, where are they coming from? Because they know, where they originated from. And they saw, like, holy cow, we're getting, like 800 a day popping in the state, if not more. It's like...
And South Carolina is getting what's called halfbacks. So what a halfback is people from the Northeast, like give you an example, Jersey, New York, whatever, Connecticut, they move to Florida and they're like, oh my God, it's too hot here. Oh my God, it's too expensive here. Oh my God, it's too crowded here. Yep. Or we missed the 4 seasons, and they're like, all right, we're going to move out of Florida because it's not cracked up to what, we just did a video on that too. Advice. So watch that one too. But, so they're like, well, I don't want to move back to New York. I don't want to move back to Jersey. Like me, I personally would never move back to New York.
Never.
I mean, I retire in Florida, and I'll tell you guys towards the end too where I'm thinking about retiring, and it's not South Carolina. But they're like, where should we move? Let's move halfway back. Let's move to, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina.
They still trying to say southern, but maybe where you get more of a seasonal break, and it's not as humid or as hot. But those places, like, just now with the freeze, those places they got snow. I mean, up in, it was up in the Panhandle. They got 5-6 inches of snow.
Isn't that ridiculous? The Panhandle, yeah. They built a snowman on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. New Orleans, they had that guy playing ice hockey down on Bourbon Street. It was like the whole street was frozen.
Wasn't he like a professional hockey player?
Yeah, he was. He was from like whatever the New Orleans team is, that he was, or he's like retired guy. And his wife or girlfriend was filming him. It's crazy. And even though we didn't get any snow here, it was freezing.
All right, let's talk about why they're picking South Carolina, okay? South Carolina is more affordable of living compared to Florida and Texas.
Yes, it is. I mean, put it this way, you could probably get yourself a nice piece of property for, I don't want to say for half the cost of here, but somewhere in that region, maybe a little bit higher, a little
housing
bit
is cheaper, utilities are cheaper, and taxes are cheaper.
But here's the thing. That's all going to change now.
Oh, yeah. People don't realize that. It's changing.
Yeah. It's going to change. And it almost changes overnight. So once you get, they're going to hit that break point. All of a sudden, they're going to get to a point where you wake up on a Monday morning and the house that was going for $200,000 is now going for $325,000.
It reminds me. It's like, I consider when like these migration patterns, and I always think, you guys will laugh. I always think like The Walking Dead. Like they go into an area and stuff, and they devour it. And now that they're in Florida, now they're roaming. Now they're heading to they're going through Georgia, they're going into South Carolina.
I'm telling you, it'll get to a point where that place will become just as expensive. The taxes will all go up, and then they'll even have more problems because they might not actually have the infrastructure for it. Meaning, like the water, the sewage, the electric, everything about it. Like most people, I thought about this when I moved here. I bought my house here years ago, but when I moved here 2 years ago to stay, I actually considered selling my house because of the internet. And I was like, I needed fiber, and I didn't have it. I had
some areas of Florida
have it. And for work, because I work remotely. But I got lucky. Like I instantly found out that they were bringing it in the next 6 to 8 months, which they did do. And that was fine. That works for me. But you can move to some areas and there's not much there at all.
Yeah. Also, some people like milder climates. South Carolina lacks extreme heat, which it does have extreme heat, but very short period of time.
Yeah, so maybe a couple of weeks.
Of Texas, the hurricanes are more common in Florida. They are more common in Florida.
Yeah, but they hit up there too.
Oh yeah, they do hit it out there.
But not. But
they seem like they're going into the Gulf and heading towards us.
They're originating all down here, so to speak. Yeah.
Another reason why a lot of people are moving to South Carolina is, charming coastal cities. Cities like, Myrtle Beach, small town feel,
Yeah, they're very, very.
We're losing that. Florida, old Florida, is a dying thing.
Oh yeah, they're ripping the place down left and right to put up, 7,000 houses, 20,000 houses here, 5,000 there. It's ridiculous.
Oh, when I first moved here, I loved old Florida. I would go to these old towns and, along the coast, and now the hurricanes knock everything down or destroy everything, and then when I go back after it's rebuilt, it just doesn't have that feel anymore.
No, it's totally different. I mean, I bought my house here in '87. I was a youngster, and by where I lived, there wasn't really much even there. I mean, there wasn't even a McDonald's or a Burger King anywhere within a couple of miles. And now we got like, fast food row, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like.
Yeah, but like by my house too, there's a car wash every 5 feet,
Oh, it's funny you bring up car washes, because I was driving and they're building one in my neighborhood, another one. Meanwhile, there's only one like 700 yards down the road on the other side of the street. So car washes, there has to be a scam about car washes.
It has to. If anybody knows what the scam is about car washes, there's literally one here for every 10 feet.
It rains a lot here in Florida, and every time you pass these car washes, there's no cars in them getting washed. What's the deal?
I mean, a lot of people are going to South Carolina too, because from the surveys and everything, because it's just less crowded. Florida.
It is. I mean, you do get a bigger change of season.
Yeah.
And you can get a bigger bang for your buck, especially if you wanted to buy property with a house. You can get something that's got some acreage around it. And it is still a southern way of life. It's a bit slower, laid back. You sit on the porch, drink your lemonade, and have a good time.
Yeah, but it's gonna
change.
If like I said, Walking Dead, when they get there, they're gonna devour everything.
They're gonna eat it up.
And South Carolina is not gonna look like South Carolina like it does now. 10 years from now.
It's a migration thing, and it slowly it starts at the bottom and it works its way up.
If you're from South Carolina, comment below. Do you want all these people moving to your state?
Yeah, please let us know.
But it's just like it's less crowded, and Florida has a lot of land, but everybody migrates to the East Coast or West Coast along the shore. Like that's what I did. I wouldn't live in Florida unless I'm along the water, because that's why I moved here. But that's the same reason for a lot of people.
Well, the good thing about a lot of Florida land is that you can't inhabit it. There's a lot of marshland and stuff. I mean, you can turn a marsh into solid ground and start building on it, but we do have a lot of that still. And hopefully somebody steps in and says, hey, cut it. You got to stop ripping everything
Another
down.
reason why a lot of people go to South Carolina is because of lower property taxes.
Is South Carolina a no income tax state?
I'm not sure. It just says South Carolina lower property taxes, does not tax Social Security benefits.
Oh, wow.
It makes it attractive for retirees. So I think there is but I guess if you're retired, like our property taxes are stupid. If you're buying a $600,000 house here, you're paying $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
And the average house is like $600,000.
Yeah, and then you got to go get the insurances on it.
So you're actually probably be paying more for insurance and taxes.
Yeah, you might as well at that point not even buy a house. You might as well just go rent a nice condo.
And a lot of people are like, you know what? South Carolina has better quality of life. They're just saying it's just better quality. When I go on vacation, I will sometimes go to South Carolina and get away, and it just feels like a better quality of life.
It is laid back. It's a slower pace than Florida, and it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some places you go there and it's just as bustling as anywhere else in the country, and those are like kind of maybe the tourist areas. But when you get into the neighborhoods, and I've driven through some of those neighborhoods because I've driven across country several times. And some of those neighborhoods you get into, and it's like, wow, it's like the plantation kind of feel.
Yeah, but it has a scenic views,
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more scenic,
Yeah.
The job opportunities, like Florida is building up a lot of jobs, but the pay is not as high in a lot of areas.
Yeah, if you're a professional, and what I mean by professional is like you're a doctor, a lawyer, certain things where it's you're the business owner. You can do probably pretty well in South Carolina for yourself. You might work a lot, but you can do well.
But housing is more affordable. You know what's funny too, and the story is about this, the video about people in South Carolina not happy with everybody moving there, but there are realtors from South Carolina advertising in Florida.
Oh, I've seen the ads. I've seen them.
Literally advertising in Florida to make people move. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but it's funny that they're like, hey, move to South Carolina.
I've seen it in those like penny saver kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, they're like, they even have commercials, You could outdoors in South Carolina, you could do more. The heat's not going to kill you as much. I'm not saying it doesn't get hot, but it's not going to kill you.
And they have humidity, but it's not as long a span as it is here.
Here's the biggest thing too about South Carolina. Southern hospitality. This is what I was talking about. Like when I go to South Carolina, I love it, because the Southern hospitality, the people are really, really nice, and then I like going to Georgia. Savannah, Georgia is my favorite town, and it's a hop, skip, and a jump between the two, and I like Charleston, there's so much I like there, but I just think like I was talking to my wife about it, and I was saying, hey, what if we moved to South Carolina? And they're like, you know what? With everything going on and the research that we do for these videos, in 10 years, South Carolina is just going to be another Florida.
Oh, without a doubt. It might even be worse.
Yeah.
Because so many people already left Florida to go to South Carolina, and you don't get, as many people coming back to Florida. Don't move to Florida.
Where I'm thinking about retiring is Tennessee.
See, I would never move to Tennessee.
But I'm landlocked there, so I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm probably gonna still be on this dock when I'm retired, going out on my boat and
Might
this
as
canal.
well. I mean, you got this beautiful piece of property here.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
I'm
this
just
is huge.
And the golf is right 2 minutes up.
Yeah.
Out of here.
And if you put your tent up right there,
yeah, right. And wait till the hurricane flood. Anyways, that's today's videos. Tell us what you guys think about, especially if you're from South Carolina. Greatly appreciate it. As always, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel. And watch this video right here. I picked it out just for you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, and have a great day.